They're going to a timeout. It gives us a chance to set up Eric Winston with our one-on-one segment. He's going one-on-one with Mike Hoffman here in our first one-on-one segment. We'll be back with more of Not Your Ordinary Sports Show coming up next. Take a look at Drew Bagnall. Actually, Drew is first in line. I thought I'd let Hoff go first, but
don't
hassle with him here.
You're scared of him. Rare mistake from Ron Burgundy.
Check out a shot of Drew in action on the ice.
Near side to Joachim Anderson, sharp angle shot right on the save, and now they're mixing it up in front, and we're going to have a scrap here. Cardiff has dropped the gloves with Drew Bagnall, and the two of them going at it up against the end. There's a big right hand by Cardiff. Bagnall trying to get loose. Look out, Cardiff was so effective with that uppercut, and he's got Bagnall with a jersey over his head, and there he goes.
Uppercut, yep.
Now Bagnall came back with an uppercut of his own. Cardiff trying to get loose. Oh, big left hand. Let the linesman just get out of there. Now they keep throwing them. Behind the net they go, and the linesman, you know, what is the deal? Get out of there. Let him go.
I think Jamie laid him out.
Still like that part of the game, and we got linesmen standing there shoulder to shoulder with the players as they're fighting, ready to jump in. And, you know, who was it? The linesman in the NHL not long ago got a huge bloody lip because he took a punch. He was in there too close.
Well, to agree with your argument there, I think the linesman's either got to get in or not get in. He was kind of in there, and then he let him go, and then he's in there. He's got his hands in there, but he's not stopping anything. But I think Jamie targeted.
Yep. Drew Bagnall, thanks for being here. Thanks for going on one-on-one with me. Now, the hockey players I've been lucky enough to be around and just friends with and stuff, obviously it's a way of life for them. And I'm assuming growing up in Manitoba, that's probably the same for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone plays hockey. I mean, I was lucky enough, I had an older brother, so he played and I got to play with his buddies. And I mean, I think that helps so much is, you know, having that in the family kind of thing. And yeah, Manitoba, there's nothing else to do. You know,
Sure.
We live out in the farm. We had 4 channels. You got to play hockey. No other choice.
Now, would your dad go out and kind of build a ring for you to skate? I mean, was it one of those things, or was there like a community thing, as you would think in the States, of some sort of like playground with a basketball? Is it something like that? Once October hits, then November hits, then you kind of have that 5-6 month period where you just can play outdoors all the time, or what? How's that?
Yeah, it's like you basically, as soon as it gets below freezing, so you're out there in October. Like October, early November for sure. And we had a rink, it was right off of like the highway, all the farms around, and all the farm kids would come and play. And we had one old guy that would pick the teams every time. He would wear knee pads. Like, we had no padding, okay? And this one old guy would show up. His name was Mr. McMahon, if he's watching. He had elbow pads, knee pads, and he was the dirtiest hockey player ever, and he never picked me on his team once, so I would play against him, and I would go home at night if I lost thinking about how I was going to beat Mr. McMahon. So he put me to where I am today.
So it's all his fault, right? You got here. Now, in Manitoba is like one of the coldest places on earth, right?
It's probably up there.
I've heard Winnipeg is just brutal.
Yeah, they call it Winterpeg. Yeah, it's cold. Like, we went up there last year because they had an American League team in Manitoba, the Moose.
Yeah.
Now they got the Jets back this year. So they got an NHL franchise. But we went up in January, and guys thought I was like, they're like, there's no way that you can live in these conditions. They thought that it was like ridiculous. But yeah, it's like minus 35, and then there's a wind chill. And
so people, you know, the hockey system's so much different than, you know, I guess football would be. Obviously, you play high school in football, then you go to college, and you hopefully go to the pros. Now, you guys have some more choices. You have, when you kind of get to that age, you either got to pick playing. Obviously, you play competitive juniors, but do you play juniors and go through, or you go to college? You decided to go to college,
right? Yeah.
How was that decision for, you know, a Canadian kid, and you decided to go to college, obviously in the States? How was that? You know, what factored into that decision for you?
I think a big part of it was my mom's was a teacher, and she was a superintendent, so it was big for her. Like, she always pushed education. She always pushed getting your schooling paid for. And I mean, the idea of getting a full scholarship was pretty nice, you know, help your folks out and stuff like that. So I was decent. I was always pretty decent in school, so I knew I had the grades to do it. And
did you want to do that, or do you want to stay and play juniors?
You know what? I think that if, like, I tried out to try to play major, junior, or whatever it's called. So like in the WHL, and my first year, when you're 16 years old, you're in there against 20-year-olds. And I remember my first camp, I fought a guy who was 20 when I was 16, and I just got absolutely abused by him. And I ended up breaking my hand, and then I didn't make the team, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to school. I just made my mind up right there.
Now you made your you got your first taste of the NHL last year.
Yeah.
Right? A couple games up in the show. How was that? What was that experience like?
It was awesome. It was great. Like, I just remember getting the call, and I'm engaged now, and my fiance, she's from Edmonton, and that's where I was going up to play, but she was on her way to Houston to come see me. So I called her, and I'm like, it's my turn to come to you.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm at the airport. I'm like, don't get on your flight. I'm like, I'm driving to the airport right now. So I ended up playing that night in Edmonton, and it was, I mean, my parents, it's a short flight from Winnipeg, so everyone was down there.
And you got a couple games there, and
yeah.
So now, how does that work for people? That is it kind of like I guess the major and minor league baseball system, whereas there's a ton of guys that go to camp, then they get assigned. Hey, this guy made the major league squad, this guy's the minor league squad, and the Aeros are kind of the AAA version, if you will, of the Minnesota Wild, correct?
Yeah, I think it's really similar to baseball, although I'm terrible at baseball, but it's pretty close, I think. So yeah, we're the AAA. It really, I think that it's like in football, you're competing for a job, a very specific job against specific guys. So for me, I have to have something that they like desire. So not only do I have to be a defenseman, but they have to need someone who plays that certain role, that stay-at-home physical defenseman. So.
Or a left-handed shot, right?
Right, yeah. Left or versus right-handed shot. And at the end of last year, too, after our playoff run, I had to have surgery on my shoulder, so that took me out. I didn't actually get cleared to play this year until mid-October, so I'm just back.
Okay, so you just got back.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So I guess when people, what's your schedule coming up? People want to come see the Aeros. What's the schedule coming up? Do you know the schedule coming up? Because I always play. I'll tell you the truth. Like, people ask me, like, "Oh, who are you guys playing in December?" And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah. Thank God Joe's over here.
Joe, what we got coming up? Sunday coming up.
Yeah, I think we're on the road for 2, and then we come back home on Sunday.
So Sunday, people go out, see the Aeros. I go out. I probably get 4 or 5 games in a year. Go out to see them. It's great hockey. It's a lot of fun. Great seats, and I tell you what, if you're just looking for something to do, whether it's on a Sunday, whether it's on a Wednesday, whatever, they play all the time, go out and see them. Drew, thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
He did. Bottom of the circle. Centered on a shot. Is it in? It's in! It's in! It's in! 73 seconds to go in the third. They jammed away in the crease, and the Aeros have a 4-3 lead here in Game 7. High slot, waits, left side, a drive, glove save, Hackett, rebound, swatted around. It's underneath the sea of bodies. Poke back to the crease. Where is it? Where is it? 5 seconds to go. Still loose, no whistle. And finally a whistle with 2.1 left. Puck's down, they scramble for it. Peters fell down, and that's it. It's tapped down the center, and the Aeros are the Western Conference champions here in 2011. They are headed to the Calder Cup final.
Last spring, the Aeros captivated Houston sports fans with an incredible playoff run that saw the team defeat Peoria, Milwaukee, and Hamilton on their way to the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals for the second time in franchise history. Tonight, we celebrate that achievement with you. Many of you received mini replica banners on your way into Toyota Center tonight. Right now, it's time for the real thing. Stand up and make some noise as we unveil the Aeros 2010-2011 Western Conference Championship banner.